What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson back with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. Today is Thursday, June the 1st. It's the first of the month. Word to Bone Thugs and Harmony. And the Commanders concluded their second week of OTAs, the last session of OTAs before next week's mandatory mini camp, where we can expect to see the full roster there and everybody participating. So expect to see Montez Sweat, Chase Young, and Charles Leno present next week, where everyone's required to be there, and they get really heavy into the install process. And it's kind of like a soft run for what training camp's going to be like. But the Commanders concluded another OTA session today. You know, the secondary was getting after it. The quarterbacks were getting locked up, and Allen and Payne are wreaking havoc on the offensive line every day in practice, but that's to be expected. No, they're unblockable. And Jonathan Allen, I don't know if you guys seen his one-on-one interview with Julie this week. He said you're going to see the best player. He said something along the lines, you're going to see the best player you've ever seen at this position this year. Something crazy. Like, he's talking that talk, and I believe it when it comes from him. Them Alabama boys, they're cut from a different cloth. But, yeah, man. Ron spoke to the media yesterday. EB and Jack, the two assistants who pretty much run the team, both spoke to the media today. And there's a very interesting storyline that's happening before our eyes. You know, I don't like to go with the whole coach and waiting situation because everything's in flux with the ownership change that we have coming in. But it really is starting to feel like they're ushering in EB as the head coach. Feels like this is a fucking paid internship, apprenticeship for Eric Bieniemy to be a head coach in this league. Ron, at this point, he's like a security manager, or he's like the manager at like a retail spot. You know, the guy who oversees everything, kind of micromanages what's happening, but that doesn't actually do shit. Like, Ron's kind of just popping in on the offense, popping in on the defense, like, hey, what's up, guys? It's Ron. Yeah. Just seeing what's happening over here, you know, just trying to make himself a part of the process. But EB runs the whole show on offense. Jack runs the whole show on defense. EB has an impressive staff on the offensive side with Tavita Pritchard and company. It really feels like everybody has very fleshed out roles, and Ron's kind of just there as the orchestrator or conductor of sorts. And he seems very at peace. He seems very at peace because he knows the reality of what happens after this season. And he just seems very at peace with what's happening here. And he seems to take a real affinity to Eric Bieniemy. And hearing Eric talk to the media for about 24 minutes today, it's a joy to listen to him speak. We were talking in the group chat. I think we can see why some of these owners, being the way they are, why they wouldn't appreciate a guy like Eric Bieniemy. The guy is just all about ball, man. The guy, he said, I'm ready for goddamn training camp. He cussed a couple times, and he had to excuse my language. The dude is fiery, and he loves ball, and he's not a fucking robot. He's not going to politically correct, cliche, and platitude you to death for the beginning, middle, and duration of the press conference. You know, he's a real person. He's a real human being that speaks on his emotions and lets them get the best of him in a good way. It's his endearing quality as a coach. And he's been getting on guys' ass. And at some point, the media is going to stop being like, oh my God, the Eric Bieniemy moment of the day is this. This is who the guy is. So expect Eric Bieniemy to be fiery and on dudes' asses every day at practice, man. Jahan dropped the pass early today. EB got on him. You got to catch that. They said he yelled that shit from about 30 yards away. And Jahan didn't drop another pass for the rest of the roster. A couple of the other receivers, Zach Selby said, Kyrick McGowan, Zion Bowens, and Mitchell Tinsley out of Penn State made some catches today. They caught the eye of Eric Bieniemy. John Bates was very reliable in red zone drills. Jack Del Rio, I've grown to enjoy listening to his press conferences because there's no fluff. There's no bullshit when Jack comes to the podium. Jack gets right to it, man. Especially when he talks about linebackers. He was like, yeah, I mean, Jamin needs to get growing. He needs to keep growing, But last year we did see more flash plays than we saw what the hell moments because there was way too many of those his rookie season. And it's like when Jack says it, it's okay. But just like Jack also said, you know, Montez Sweat's numbers would absolutely go berserk if he actually finished because he gets to the quarterback on a clip as good as most of the edge rushers that are viewed in a high rank in the NFL. But he just doesn't finish when he gets there. But he always gives us solid sack production. The production would absolutely explode like Daron Payne's did, but even more so being the athletic freak off the edge who runs a 4.4 140. Don't let Sweat get some bend to his game. If he learns how to bend the corner, he'll really go crazy. Bieniemy glowed talking about Sam Howell. He said he's a guy who's hard on himself. When he makes mistakes, he always auto corrects it. He's a very competitive kid. He understands that some of the times when he's making the mistakes, he wants to know what he can do better. And that's the type of guy. That's the type of guy you want as your quarterback. Not the kind of guy that's like, oh, don't play my negative plays in practice. If you know, you know. Stories that only happen here in Washington. We got guys that say, I don't want you playing my negative plays in practice. Same guy brings father to the rehab center and says, my son's not running the read option offense. Only in DC do you hear stories like that. I digress. Back to today's practice. EB talked glowingly about Chris Rodriguez Jr., who you could pretty much tell was an Eric Bieniemy pick. He said Chris is a hardworking kid. He takes a tremendous amount of pride in everything he does. Right now, I think he's in a good place, which is good to hear because, you know, he went through some things. Jack Del Rio is ecstatic to have Emmanuel Forbes on the defense per Zach Selby. He doesn't care about his weight. He says he's a tremendous football player. He's fast. He's got great skills. And right now, they're just going to mix and swap and see, have a flexible plan for him and St. Juice for how the cornerbacks are going to line up. But just expect to see a lot of St. Juice, Forbes, and Fuller on the field at the same time going into the season. But he said Khaleke Hudson looked good. Nice to hear. We had a Khaleke Hudson sighting week 18 last year versus Dallas. Ended up getting cut last year after a very disappointing offseason and training camp preseason period. But I would like to see more out of Khaleke. I would like to hear more about this Casimir Allen hamstring thing because those type of injuries, they concern me because they linger and never go away. But, man, EB and Howell, the two biggest wild cards on this team right now and the two biggest reasons for excitement for the 2023 season. Every update we get about Howell, it gets me juiced up. It gets me excited. Every video clip they drop with his boys slinging it, jumping off 1 foot, throwing it, and getting his feet set. Man, just basic shit like seeing a basic drop where his feet get right to it, head goes through progressions, and the ball comes out to hit a guy in stride. I don't take shit like that for granted, man. Guys like Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, all 4.4, 4.3 guys, and we didn't really get to see them catch the ball in stride last year. We didn't really get to see it. So Rack and Yak, we weren't able to see much of that. But with Samuel Howell, haircut Sam, haircut Howell, we're going to be able to see that type of thing on offense this year. Where that gets me excited. Don't get too afraid that our D-line is busting the offensive line in practice right now, busting their ass every day. That D-line busts everybody's ass every time they get out there. We don't even got Sweat and Young out there right now. But we already know what the defense is going to do. Jack peacocking every time you see him. He got his chest poked out. They already know what they do. But it's very interesting to see this coaching structure, man. The offense is like EB and Pritchard's world, and the defense is completely Jack's. Ron kind of just be there. He's kind of be there just to oversee practice. He looks like he works for the NFLPA or some shit, and he's there just to oversee and make sure they're not doing too much in practice. But I think that's good. Take a lot of these hats away from Ron. Ron's been overwhelmed since he's got here, and he's been struck with almost an insurmountable task of working and cleaning up Daniel Snyder's mess of 24 years. And I commend him for that. I commend him for always staying classy, but we're always going to be real and objective and be critical when things aren't being done to the ability that we believe they should be done. And with the roster that we have, the roster that Ron said they just started building this year, we got to hold these guys to a specific standard and objective, bro. I've never seen an 11-win season here, so I'll be damned if I'm going to be out here accepting sustained mediocrity. I want to see this team win 10 or 11 games this year. Would be lovely to see it. It's a lot to ask. I know we got the pretty much the youngest starting quarterback that's not one of the rookie quarterbacks. So it's going to be a work in progress. But I think the best combination of talent, youth, upside, and potential that we've had here in a very long time. And I'm very optimistic to see what the Eric Bieniemy, Sam Howell show looks like on offense, because we know what the defense do. Even if they start off slow, like they usually do, and get going a few weeks into the season, I want to see what the offense does, man, because if they get it booming, if this complicated ass EB West Coast offense gets booming, look out for Washington to make some noise. We did go 8-1 with an absolute shit show at the quarterback position between both of those guys last year. Both of them. But that's all I got for right now, man. Next week, mandatory minicamp. It should get real interesting. But keep your eyes on what I'm talking about with this Eric Bieniemy thing. I've never seen, we did like a full press run artist album rollout when we hired Eric Bieniemy. He got the whole red carpet treatment. He got a 30-minute press conference, the likes of a head coach hiring, and he gets hella airtime and questions on a regular basis here. And this offense is his complete baby. It seems like they're ushering in and they're trying to give him all the reins of being a head coach. It'll be wild if Ron stepped down before the season and was like, you know what, I'm good. EB got it. And this whole thing was just like an apprenticeship. It's not going to happen. That shit isn't happening. That's unrealistic. Would be a crazy storyline for Hard Knocks, though. I'm still holding out hope that we getting Hard Knocks, even though I know it's going to be the Jets and Aaron Rodgers punk ass and the allure of New York City, which is a trash ass city if we want to keep it a whole bean. But we don't got to do that right now, man. The vibes are immaculate. Mini camp starts next week. I'm excited to see this team and what we look like this year. And I'm excited to get out the training camp in July, man. Now we can say training camp starts next month. That's how you know we're closer and we're under 100 days away from the start of the 2023 season. Shout out to my guy Joseph that I saw at the train station today. Appreciate you for checking out the channel, my boy, and pulling up on me, man. Love running into y'all in the city. That's all I got for right now, though. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Until next time.